just sat down to do this live, and my kids are, of course, yelling at me. All the parents know as soon as you sit down to do something, you get distracted, which is the greatest challenge, I think, of all of us who are working with the children right now. Anyway, I wanted to share something really quick. I need to get it out before I get back to my 3D job of cleaning beds and bathrooms. But I was thinking about the illusion of our reality. We're hearing a lot about this, right? And I've been centering around this meme that's been going around of all these people who are bent over, and there's like a Monopoly game on their back, and bankers or elite or whoever you want to call them are sitting around playing this game, and it says if we would just stand up, the game would be over. And God, I'm feeling that this week. I don't know. I know there's lots of people who are feeling that this week of if we could just rise up, if we could just stand up and stand up against the things that are really keeping us enslaved, we could end this. We could end it. But beside the point, I mean, that's what's happening in some of our realities right now. But I've also been sitting with this concept of what about the idea of our entire world is potentially like a hologram or an illusion? What if all these dramas, what if all these stories I'm reading on the news, what if all of it is an illusion? And that's plausible according to some theories. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's the truth, but it's a possibility. And so I've really been working with my team around, if that's true, how do I stand up and see past the illusion? And I also get the image of standing in a cloud, like a fog cloud, and the fog is the illusion, but there's really this beautiful forest all around me, but I just can't see the trees because there's too much fog. So how do I get rid of the fog? And there's kind of three things that they've been telling me in the last 24 hours. One is to stand up. If we feel compelled to say something, then say something. If we feel compelled to do or not do something, then do or not do that something. And I do want to pause here for a moment because, often when we look at taking action in the world or doing what we think is going to make the world a better place, we often focus on what do I need to do? But there's so much power in also not doing something. And we fail to recognize that sometimes. And I think that's part of the illusion that we always need to be doing. We always need to be working. Clearly, with all the background noise, you can tell someone doesn't want me to talk about this today. We're going to go ahead anyway. And in the not doing, there's such grace sometimes in deciding that I don't need to participate in that anymore. Or I don't need to go along with that anymore because it doesn't feel right for me. It's not contributing to my life in a positive way. And I've really been sitting with some questions around, is this bringing value into my life? Is my life better because I've participated in this? And social media is one of them, to be quite honest, that I've been reflecting on. Has my life gotten better by being on Facebook at all? And there's certainly positives and negatives in any situation. And you can look at it from a mission standpoint or a global standpoint. But I'm feeling like it's really important, at least for me, but also for some of the people that I've been working with recently, to look at how does this bring value for me? What is the personal value for me and my family? And is it making our lives better? And if it's not, do we need to feel the guilt around not participating? Do we need to feel like perhaps we're not contributing to the world by not participating? Or, and what I've seen in a lot of cases with the people I've spoken with in the last few weeks is that the timeline of them stepping out of participating in some of these things actually leads them to fifth dimensional spaces of living. So it's not by the fighting, it's not by the doing, it's by the not doing in some cases. And it always brings me back to the story of Rosa Parks, and I'm sure there's going to be debates on that now too. But I always think about what would it have felt like to get on the bus and just be exhausted and tired of it, which I know so many people are feeling at this point into this whole global situation we're in of just, is it over yet? But imagine all of that culminating in one moment. You've been working all day, you've been serving others all day, and you get on this bus and you're like, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm tired. And you didn't set out to make the world any better in that moment. You didn't set out to create some movement. You weren't trying to change anybody. You were just addressing what you needed in that moment. You were addressing the fatigue. You were addressing what didn't feel right in your heart, what was unfair in your heart, knowing that you were probably going to be persecuted by following that. And then look at the outcome. It doesn't take much, right? And I wonder, with all of us kind of coming to this point right now, if we all have those little moments of, I'm just not going to do it anymore. It doesn't feel right. And not doing it to become a social media influencer or to move our business or our platforms forward, but just for ourselves. I've been saying to a lot of people at this time, yeah, we're fighting for our health and we're fighting for our life, but what I feel we're fighting for right now is our souls. Our souls. And what's going to happen to our souls when this lifetime ends? This one feels significant. And, a lot of us have been pulled into the illusions and relationships we have with money, and they've held us back in some ways. And if we've truly set the fears of lack that we have aside, and not to say we don't make a decision based on that in the end, because we do need to survive, but to set that aside and really ask ourselves, am I making this decision out of fear, or am I making this decision because it is what my heart or my higher self is asking, is begging me to do, because I can no longer do the alternative? The other thing I'm hearing is, so stand up or sit down, depending on how you read that, but also dissolve it. If you're in a fog, you need to dissolve the fog. You can't fight the fog. Fighting the fog is going to do nothing other than get you turned around, right? But you add some water to that fog, you add some sunshine to that fog, you add something that's going to cause it to dissipate for you to see clearer, then maybe you'll be able to see the trees on the other side, the life on the other side, the world that exists on the other side without that fog. And, finding the space to allow ourselves to see a little bit clearer, to step back and see, multiple perspectives, bigger pictures, underlying agendas, missing information, different feelings of energy. And just giving ourselves the space to sit with that and to interpret it in the way that we need to interpret it, without anybody telling us how to reframe it, or anyone telling us how we should feel or we should act on it, but just giving ourselves the space to ask ourselves, how do I feel about it? What do I see? And if what I see and feel is different from those around me, does that mean it's wrong? No. Does it mean it's right? I don't know. Maybe for me it is, and maybe for them it's not. Maybe they'll become the same down the road, maybe they won't. But if we go back to that first step of standing up and really tuning into what's important for me, then I think truth right now is at an interesting space where, I'm questioning, is there the truth or is there a truth? And to go from that perspective. And then the third thing is to start to create. If the illusion, got a little ghost there, if the illusion is creating our reality, what if we just start creating our own reality? Who do we want to be? So many of us are going through transformations this time from an internal perspective, and we're struggling with how do I take what's bubbling up inside of me and then become that person externally? How do I deal with all the people in my life who are expecting me to look and act in the way that I may have looked and acted the rest of my life, and now suddenly I want to be different? And what does that even look like for me? So many of us are struggling to figure out, what we want to say and who we want to be and how we want to feel and how we want to dress. And it's awkward when you're learning how to walk, when you're learning how to transform. And that is okay. We can fall down, we can change our minds, we can create one thing and tear it down, and then we can create something new and tear it down and then create something new again. I mean, humans have been doing that in cycles for millions of years. And, now we're just starting to tap into the actual power that we have to do that. And so, I'm going to be making some big decisions, I think, in the next couple of weeks about where I really choose my reality. What am I choosing to participate in? And if I'm choosing to participate in it, does it align with the reality that I'm creating moving forward? And if it doesn't, and it's not making my life better, it's not making me excited and rejoiced and calm and loving, it's not doing the same for my family members, I might not do it anymore. And then there might be other new things that come in that I haven't done before that I want to do that seem crazy or weird or whatever for other people. But let's have fun creating that, because we've known for years. I mean, anyone who has come and hung out with me in the last couple of years knows that I've been talking about the systems falling and that we need some of these systems to fall. We really do, in order for the new growth to happen. And now the systems are falling. And yes, we're freaking out, and we knew we were going to freak out. But as the systems fall, so does the illusion. And it's scary to lose the reality that we know, but it is also one of those really pivotal points in our life where we get to create something out of nothing. That moment when you have the blank canvas and all your new paints and you're like, I can literally paint anything. And some people just jump in and start painting and like, woohoo. And then there's other people who stare at the canvas and go, but what if I paint it wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if it's not the masterpiece that I want to make? Here's the beauty about paint. You can paint over it. And the beauty about paint is that it's really not about the painting looking like the reality that we know now. It's about taking the energy of the colors, the energy and the feeling that we want to experience in that reality and bringing the feeling across. That is what art is all about, is the feeling. It's not about recreating a reality. It's about creating a new reality from the very core essence, like creating the new DNA of a human being. We're creating the new DNA of a world through the art. So if anything else, put your feet in the water, go out and play, listen to music, create whatever it is. And don't even worry if it lasts for a lifetime or if it's just a little pattern that you've created with leaves or flowers like I do behind me there. And honor the act of creating, because we're going to see a whole new world, I think, in the next couple of years. And we are seeing the leaders of that new world rise up now, quietly and loudly. And we're fighting hand and foot to get there. And in some ways, we're fighting the leaders of the current world, I guess you could say, as it falls. And they're struggling to keep things maintained the way they are. But question the reality, question the illusion, and activate your power, your ability to start to build this new world, this fifth dimension with me. and do so without any apology for who you are, without any apology for the awkwardness and the missteps and all the mistakes that we might make along the way, because they're going to happen. And we can love each other and support each other through that. And we'll see where we end up. So lots of love to everybody. Thanks for listening to that little ramble. Had to get out there, no choice. So trying to follow those guidelines. And I'll see you in the coming days. Take care.